What up? It's your boy T-Bear here in Reaction. For today, we're gonna have no room for some. We're not gonna have room for side dishes because it's gonna be a big. Because we don't have. Because I have to make room for a good meal. So, because I'm like pressed for time. So anyway, as I told you before, I'm in between my polls. I'm going to be doing a reaction to the Friday 13th recount kill counts. Though right now he just released Freddy versus Jason recount. So, but I'm like way behind because I was adding the recount to the polls and it wasn't enough. So I say fuck it. I'm gonna put it in between weeks. So we're in between weeks now. So here we are with Friday 13th 3, aka Friday 13th 3D. In the kill count recount. You know the reason why he's doing the recount because his early days, you know, like I said, everybody have their humble beginnings, and he definitely had a humble beginning. At the time, he was just going through it like any other, with barely any personality in the videos. Now he's like the kill count king right now. So anyway, here it is, Friday 13th Part 3, aka Friday 13th 3D kill count recount. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Friday the 13th Part 3, released in 3D in 1982. Since Friday Part 2 was a box office success, Paramount decided to keep the series going. And yeah, this is the one where Jason gets his hockey mask. It is also the only Friday where none of the characters ever say his name. Nobody ever says Jason in this one. I didn't even know that until a few days ago. The original idea for Part 3 involved Part 2's final girl, Ginny Field. She would be in a sanitarium dealing with her trauma when Jason would show up and start killing people there. At the behest of her agent, however, Amy Steele declined to return for another film, something she later said she regretted. With that novel idea in the waste bin, it was back to the same old shit, killing a bunch of attractive teens around Crystal Lake. As a hook to bring people in to watch the same goddamn movie again, Friday the 13th Part 3 was filmed in 3D. 3D films had a golden era from 1952 to 54, but in the early 80s, new technologies were developed to bring the style back better than ever. Friday 3 was at the vanguard of this tech, using a lot of new camera systems and emulsion techniques I'm simply not knowledgeable enough to speak about. All I know is that the 3D dominated the film's production at the expense of pretty much everything else, especially the performances.
You weren't really worried so much about your acting skills as much as could you get that yo-yo to go right in the lens? That was more important than anything else.
The 3D required an enormous amount of light on set, so atmosphere and mood were another casualty of the process. This Friday the 13th is just too brightly lit to be scary. Since the 3D production required more control, Part 3 was filmed near Los Angeles, as opposed to in New Jersey or Connecticut like the first two films. Moving to the West Coast might have saved money for this extra long 12-week shoot, but it also erases the authentic small-town East Coast feel that was present in Parts 1 and 2. The move also caused them to recast Jason's actor, since Steve Dash was told he'd have to pay for his own ticket to California, and that guy wasn't about to do that. Stepping into Jason's shoes would be 6'3" acrobat-trained British stunt performer Richard Brooker, who everyone says was a lovely guy, but who sadly passed away in 2013. Rest in peace. Directing duties were once again taken up by Steve Miner, making him the only person to direct 2 Friday the 13th films. Production was plagued by various problems, and many participants cite this as the most difficult and unpleasant Friday the 13th shoot. I hate difficult and unpleasant things, and that includes finding a healthy breakfast to eat every morning. That's why I'm grateful for Magic Spoon, a cereal for adults that tastes as good as a childhood treat. Y'all should know by now that I'm really into exercising, but eating healthy has always been more of a pain in the ass for me. Between the time it takes to prep meals and how bland some healthy options taste, it can be tough to find foods that work well with my workout routine. Magic Spoon is the answer to my prayer, since it's got 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, totaling a mere 140 calories.
I need to find this out. This is pretty good right here because I like to eat cereals. I do miss eating cereal here and there. I eat them though, but I do miss it, and this would be good to check out.
Hell yes! And seriously, it tastes good. I love all 4 of their best-selling flavors that are available to get in a variety pack: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. Magic Spoon is keto-friendly, gluten-free, and soy-free, yet somehow tastes just as good as the cereals from your childhood. See for yourself by going to
I tried some organic cereals. Some taste good, some
MagicSpoon.com/DeadMeatJames and use promo code DeadMeatJames for $5 off your order. If you don't like it, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Nice. So go to MagicSpoon.com/DeadMeatJames and use promo code DeadMeatJames for $5 off this delicious cereal. Even though this movie's pretty much the same as the first two, maybe having an extra dimension will net us a few more kills. Let's find out and get to them. The movie begins with, oh good, a recap. I mean, this one did come out a whole 16 months after part 2. Better remind everyone of Ginny's mommy imitation that helped her escape the wrath of Baghead Jason. I think this recap implies that the scene with Muffin and Hillbilly Jim Jason was a dream, since it's never shown, and since our first new footage, a full 5 minutes into the movie, is of Jason stirring to life after Paul and Ginny hobble off. He scoots his little behind across the floor as Mrs. Voorhees' head offers us some title card. Whoa! This whoa-tastic credit sequence is the only unique one of the first 7 films, with its 3-dimensional text and its memorable disco version of the Friday the 13th score. This zippy-zappy tune, composed by Michael Zager, is so beloved by fans it's been performed live by cover bands. Disco, baby! Whereas part 2 began with the killing of a known character, part 3 begins the franchise's tradition of introducing completely random people just to up the body count. I don't mind, keeps me in business. Our debut extraneous meatbags are a married Crystal Lake couple who argues a lot. There's the somewhat bumbling Harold, who eats everything he can get his hands on, including fish food, and his yelly wife Edna, who's got curlers on her head. Edna, shame on you! Edna watches director Steve Miner cameo as a newscaster and report on the events of part 2, which happened the night before. So Friday 3 actually takes place on Saturday the 14th. The broadcast mentions 8 deaths, which jives with my count, confirming my suspicions that Paul Holt survived. Paul Holt! Harold and Edna, on the other hand, won't be so lucky, and their deaths ain't coming via snakes on strings or rats on planks. Whoa! Now, their deaths are coming via Jason Voorhees, who's very careful not to show his face to the camera. He'd rather stay hidden before sticking a cleaver into Harold's chest. Yeah, you grimace in silence, Harold. Take a seat in that doorway, too. For Harold's kill, the late actor Steve Susskind wore a piece of balsa wood with a blood tube on top. When the cleaver hit the wood, however, it buried the tube in it, which is why the blood is mostly inside his shirt during the close-up. Honestly, though, that was the least of concerns during production. This scene was the first thing shot for the film, but issues with the 3D tech required a full reshoot.
We didn't have time for tests. The camera system was new. We were evolving it as we went.
As would be the case with the rest of the movie, the cast had to do dozens of takes to get the 3D.
Hold on. Neck was acting funny. Hold up. I'm back. Guess everything's fine. If they asked him again about the Swiss necklace, but anyway, let's get it.
Mostly inside his shirt during the close-up. Honestly, though, that was the least of concerns during production. This scene was the first thing shot for the film, but issues with the 3D tech required a full reshoot.
We didn't have time for tests. The camera system was new. We were evolving it as we went.
As would be the case with the rest of the movie, the cast had to do dozens of takes to get the 3D objects pointed correctly into the camera. You can see Steve Susskind cheat out of frustration when he looks back at the camera to make sure that pole is where it should be. Additionally, Friday 3 also used the new Luma crane, which allowed for long, stable moving shots like the one that opened this scene. I actually prefer the Steadicam style of part 2, and the crew members on Friday 3 weren't fans of the Luma either, especially after it fell over once and ruined an entire shoot day. The opening scene ends with Edna's death, who dies when Jason punches through the window to grab her by the face. Come here! He sticks a knitting needle through the back of her head, and it comes out through her mouth in the front. Little whoa. Big whoa, baseball bat, as we cut to another scene to meet the group of teenagers we'll follow during this film. Even though they're not camp counselors, they're just a group of friends, they're still pretty much the same as the young victims of the first 2 films.
Sex, sex, sex. You guys are getting boring, you know that?
With lines like that, Friday 3 adds more humor and a bit of self-awareness that winks to the audience.
I'm not an asshole. I'm an actor. Same thing.
These kids aren't fully aware they're in a horror film, though, because even after passing the bloody aftermath of Harold and Edna's kills, they still don't listen to the harbinger of doom they find sleeping in the road. Abel, this replacement Crazy Ralph, is played by David Wiley, who, 8 years later, would play a judge getting down and dirty with upper-class society. If only this fake eyeball looked half as good as the shunting. What is that, a wad of wet paper towel? I don't even want to whoa. Like I said, these kids aren't counselors at any kind of summer camp. They're going to a family family retreat on Crystal Lake called Higgins Haven. We never get to see too much of the lake though, since it wasn't real. It was a man-made lake created by production. Friday 3 was filmed at the Veluzat
Hold up a second. I had them. Alright, we're back. Let's get it.
Movie Ranch in Saugus, a neighborhood of Santa Clarita, California. Unlike the pre-existing cabins in parts 1 and 2, the Higgins Haven Lodge and Barn were built from the ground up. Production designer Rob Wilson King headed the construction of the 3-story lodge, a bitchin' building with a spiral staircase that sadly burned down in 2006 because of a careless fan. Only the fireplace and the barn were left standing behind. A shame, since the Higgins Haven cabin is one of the best parts of this installment. The Higgins of this haven is final girl Chris Higgins, who's here to deal with some Crystal Lake trauma she experienced a couple of years ago.
It's just being here again. I know it's only been 2 years, but I feel like I've been away forever.
Her love interest is an old family friend, this hunk of handsome named Rick. Man, what a rugged, hay-baling mass of muscle he is. Keep an eye out for his death later. The horny couple of the crew is Andy and Debbie, and Debbie needs you to know that she's pregnant.
That's what happens when you're pregnant.
Debbie's played by—
Hey, we're pregnant, remember?
Yeah, we know, Debbie. Debbie's played by Tracy Savage, who was then 19, but who had been acting since she was a child. Friday 3 was the first time Savage was on a set without her parents, and the last role she took before retiring from acting. After this, she'd earn a degree in journalism at the greatest college in the US of A, the University of Michigan. Go Blue! Savage would later play a part in the O.J. Simpson trial, where she withstood a threat of jail time from Judge Lance Ito to conceal her confidential sources. Hell yeah! Even with her career in journalism, Savage is still probably best known for this role.
Every newsroom I've ever worked in, I've always gotten fan mail from Friday the 13th fans.
She seems to be okay with it though, and even jokes about the nudity she did on screen.
In the beginning, I might have been a little uncomfortable with it, but all these years later, I think, wow, I had a pretty nice body.
Debbie's boyfriend—
Oh, God. Here we go. Hold on.
Andy is a handstanding, yo-woing, juggling kind of goofster, as is his buddy Shelley, who's basically a mopey clown.
You be yourself. If you look like this.
Seriously, this guy is such a downer.
They said they were going skinny dipping, and I'm not skinny enough.
And his idea of a funny prank is traumatizing his friends. Get the fuck out with that, you Bob Ross hair-having buffoon. Shelley's actor Larry Zerner says he was pretty much Shelley in real life. In fact, director Steve Miner just told him to be himself on set. Zerner, who was only 18, was literally found on a street corner by Friday 3's credited screenwriters Martin Kitrosser and Carol Watson. Kitrosser was a script supervisor on Fridays 1 and 2, and with his wife Carol Watson, wrote the first screenplay for part 3. It was a bit too complicated for Miner and producer Frank Mancuso Jr., though, so they hired Romanian-born Petru Popescu to do an uncredited rewrite. Popescu's version simplified the script and made it easier for the complicated 3D filming process. And by that I mean he made it the same as the first 2 movies. Chris and the Preggy's couple are trying to set up Shelley with their friend Vera, who gets an unusual bit of shading in for a Friday the 13th side character. She's shown being picked up at the home of her Spanish-speaking mother, and later experiences some, I think, casual racism.
We don't accept no food stamps.
The final 2 characters of the friend group are Chuck and Chili, fantastically stereotypical stoners who smoke so much weed they friggin' hotbox that groovy van. But don't worry, brah, they're always down to share. Whoa. Vera and Shelley go to a convenience store where they get bullied by a bunch of bikers named Fox, Ali, and Loco. The bikers are a real fun addition to the film, especially knowing that their actors were nothing like the assholes they depicted.
Very much like myself. I don't—
Shout out to Gloria Charles, the first. That's like the first 2. Well, they had some characters on there before, like actual on there before I saw it was black, but they were like the first. Them and the guy that played the black biker was like the first ever black main cast members of the Friday the 13th movie. So black horror right there for you.
I think that was their natural role.
Gloria Charles seemed especially ebullient and expressed embarrassment over having to talk about a condom.
I was more embarrassed than the other character was supposed to be about someone talking about a condom.
I was heartbroken when Ms. Charles passed away in 2016, but it's nice that Friday the 13th the game modeled a character after her in her honor.
I thought that was her,
yeah. Shelley accidentally pee-wees the biker gang's bikes, but Ali's still willing to give him service with a smile. You did say you needed that windshield replaced, right, ma'am? And that window? Oh, wait, Shelley, that's not even your car, dude. It's Beefcake Rick's.
My poor car, what did you do to it?
Dog, don't even act like you can't afford to fix it. We see how you're wearing that sweater. The motorcycle gang follows them back to Higgins Haven and siphons the gas out of their van while smoking a cigarette. Smart. They're planning on burning down this barn, I guess, but not before Fox has some fun with it.
This feels good.
A lot of fun with it. Fox disappears, and when Loco finds her, she's dead, pinned to a rafter by a pitchfork through her neck. I love how the camera shows that her feet are above the ground. This was done with a wire support system around Gloria Charles's back that was attached to the barn's rafter. Loco then meets his end when Jason stabs him through the gut with another pitchfork. This kill was done in a similar way to Fox's, with a plate on actor Kevin O'Brien's back that had pitchfork prongs attached. I love how O'Brien times that cigarette drop as he dies. Ali comes into the barn last and gets a face full of Loco. 3 more and he'll be drunk as hell. Jason drops in to greet Ali to Higgins Haven and gives him a welcome package of punches. Chris has a scene of character development that's so long it earns itself a doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. This flashback story is not only unusually detailed for our final girl, but also a bit incongruous with Jason as we'll come to know him. Chris says a couple of years ago, after a fight with her parents, she ran out into the woods and was attacked by a, quote, hideous man, and possibly even more than attacked?
I blacked out. I don't know what happened after that. I just don't know.
Like I said, most people think of Jason as a silent, childlike, sometimes funny, simple murder machine. It's weird to ascribe a sexual component to the character. Although, again, it's left pretty ambiguous here. The filmmakers didn't want an explicit...
Sorry, correct me right now on Friday 13th. The blood be spraying all like crazy when he got sliced.
Story to take
Especially when I
audiences
thought
out
he
of the
missed.
fun, and Chris's actor Dana Kimmel wouldn't have gone along with it if they tried. Kimmel was a, quote, straight arrow Mormon who got a line of dialogue removed because it implied that Chris and Rick had sex. Back at the cabin, the stoners catch up on Z's while Debbie and Andy go off to create some breaking news, by which I mean sex. Shelley stays behind to juggle and veer at Vera's A, then shoots his shot with her only to get shot down. Sorry, bud, she's just not that into you.
Bitch.
Okay, dude, didn't know Shelley was the OG nice guy. Later, when Vera's down by the dock, Shelley introduces the object that would make Jason Voorhees a legend.
That'll teach you a valuable lesson. A beautiful girl like you
That's
should
how you
never
got the
go out
mask.
in the dark
Okay.
alone.
Man, and this fucking guy is responsible for that hockey mask? What a dumb origin for something so cool. Behind the scenes, the hockey mask's origin is a pretty muddled issue. Many people take credit for the idea, not surprising since it became so iconic.
I think it was Frank about the mask.
I'm sure it was Steven.
And I must admit, in modesty, that I put the hockey mask on Jason.
Best I can tell from my research, it went down like this. Everyone wanted a new mask for Jason, so they tested out a bunch of different looks. A few guys on the crew were hockey fans, including 3D supervisor Martin J. Sadoff. After someone's suggestion, possibly Miner, possibly Mancuso, makeup artist Marty Becker altered and made a mold from one of Sadoff's hockey masks, a 1950s Detroit Red Wings goalie mask. I love that the Wings play into this story. D-Town! Then production designer Rob King made various versions out of clear plastic. It was painted from behind, so the paint wouldn't flake or peel off while shooting. Basically, a bunch of people contributed to the mask, and no one person should be able to take credit, as much as they may want to now.
Nobody knew it was going to become an icon.
Shelley takes that hockey mask with him into the barn, but the next time we see it, it's not Shelley who's wearing it. Jason Voorhees, as we know and love him, has finally arrived, and he immediately earns a kill with a 3D harpoon into Vera's eye. It's a memorable kill with decent prosthetic work, though they did have to cut away as soon as actor Catherine Parks hit the water, because the makeup dissolved quickly after it got wet. Of course, the true highlight of this kill is Jason's lackadaisical walk. Have you ever seen a serial killer look more indifferent than this? Dude just looks worn down by life. Debbie and Andy figure out the practicalities of hammock sex, then provide the old slasher staples of nudity and handstands. Good God, these handstands are gratuitous. In fact, Andy handstands his ass right into getting killed, after Jason drops his axe as a lamp and brings his machete down to cut Andy in half. The results of this gnarly kill are shown in detail later on when Debbie sees Andy's bifurcated body in the rafters. Friday 3's makeup effects were done by Doug White, who had just worked on another 3D horror film called Parasite. For Andy's kill, White made a body cast of actor Jeffrey Rogers, and the kill was filmed from below with the camera placed beneath a plexiglass floor. Andy's blood ruins Debbie's independent reading time with a Fangoria that features articles on Tom Savini and Godzilla, who at that time was only 25 years old. Godzilla is now about 67 years old.
Wow.
Debbie is killed when Jason grabs her from below and sticks a knife through her neck, a deliberate nod towards the just referenced Savini and his infamous Kevin Bacon kill from the original. Similar to that kill, and Jeff and Sandra's from part 2, Tracy Savage had to kneel beneath the hammock and a fake body. Because the set was so hot with extra lights required for the 3D filming, the latex net they used began to melt, which is why it makes a sort of tent as the knife comes through it from below. The stoners are all that's left of the Expendables, so let's grab some popcorn for a couple more deaths. Whoa! Chuck doesn't get killed when he's taking a dookie and smoking a doobie.
Heavy shit.
But he does die later when he goes to fix the generator, a classic objective in horror video games. Before his death, though, Shelley answers the door to find Shelley with his throat slit. She thinks it's another joke, but it's not. I never understood this kill. Did Jason slit Shelley's throat all the way back when he took the hockey mask? That was so long ago. How'd this asshole survive from then until now? Chuck turns on the lights in the shed before he's attacked by Jason, who kills him by throwing him into the electrical stuff. We'll see that move a lot throughout the series. With the lights flickering and the realization that Shelley ain't gonna say psych, Chili flips the fuck out and gives us some grade A B-movie acting. The best part is the way Harry Manfredini's dramatic score interplays with her lines. That is music, my man! Shelley is ultimately killed, and Jason puts a steaming hot fire poker through her gut. It looks damn good and smoky. Of course, Jason has to clean up after his kill, because you can never trust a moose to keep its mouth shut. Chris and Rick finally get back from their character development date to find Higgins Haven in a state of havoc. They search for the others separately, which gets Rick caught by Jason. And without Chris ever knowing, Jason kills Rick with his amazing head crush. Woo-wah. I don't care that this head looks like a papier-mâché puppet made in
eye pop out,
or that you can
iconic.
see the Rob the eyeball slides on towards the camera. This shit is great. Rick's fake head was built to be collapsible so they could get multiple takes. As I mentioned, multiple takes were necessary since the 3D objects had to go towards the camera lens just right. Richard Brooker had to shoot the fire poker stab over 30 times. And Larry Zerner says it was so hard to toss his wallet into the camera correctly that the crew ended up getting pissed at him.
It's tough to set up and tough to do.
Perhaps unsurprisingly to anyone who watched the Part 2 recount, it sounds like Part 3 had an unruly set working under director Steve Miner. There was hostility between some members of the cast and the so-called outlaw crew, a bunch of non-union workers who carried firearms and shot at rattlesnakes in between drinking margaritas and snorting cocaine. It fell to assistant director slash associate producer slash production manager Peter Schindler to corral the crew and manage the complicated technical aspects of the shoot, while Miner was more of a creative head who stuck to working with the actors.
Hollywood. That's all I gotta say.
For what it's worth, his cast seemed to like him, saying he was friendly and chill.
Never difficult, never hard on us, just a nice guy.
With all the other characters finally dead, it's about time for a final girls circuit, don't you think? We just need a proper starting gun. Wet floor? No, that's just a nuisance. Bloody clothes? Well, we're getting closer. If only we had... Perfect! The body of a dude Chris has never met before. And we're off! Jason spices things up by chucking Rick's body through the window, which, gotta say, we already saw in the original when Tom Savini went through glass and turned into Brenda. When Jason appears at the window, it really sets things off. And though Chris doesn't use a chainsaw like Ginny did, she does dump a bunch of books on the J-Man. Get schooled, motherfucker! Later, after finding Debbie's body, Chris gets more dangerous, taking the knife she finds in her friend and using it to stab Jason in his hand. Fucking ouch. She successively swipes until she successfully knifes his knee, putting an end to his adventuring days. Then she keeps the hits coming by taking a log to Jason's dome, spilling his big ass through the porch banister, and allowing her to escape to the van. The wagon wagon stalls out on a baby bridge, and Jason almost gets Chris again, but she traps him in the window until he makes good use of that face mask. Eventually, she winds up in the barn, which Jason tears all the fuck apart trying to find her. Damn, Jason, you mad, bro? Well, just look up, man. You might get a face full of whoa. Chris takes a shovel and knocks Jason silly with it, and frickin' hangs him from his neck out the barn window. Damn, that's cold-blooded, girl. We get a great moment when Chris opens the doors to reveal that Jason's hanging there, and when he shows he's still alive and has plenty of upper body strength. Jason removes his mask to get the rope from around his neck, showing Chris that he's the same man who attacked her in the woods 2 years ago. Before he can move in to finish the job, the still alive Ali wakes up from his hours-long hay nap. He quickly gets his hand cut off and beaten senseless. This time, instead of with a fist, Jason uses a machete. That's finally enough to kill Ali. Fabulous he. Chris takes the opportunity to give Jason an axe mark in his mask that would remain for the rest of the character's existence. The strike is enough to take the J-Man down, and Chris gives his head a little toe tap just to be certain. With that over, Chris decides to pull an Alice Hardy and takes a canoe out to the middle of the lake, or in this case, swamp. God, that man-made lake looks bad. It's clearly not the same Crystal Lake as the first two films. Now, originally, Friday Part 3 was going to be the last one, even though, you know, come on. The ending as originally written saw Chris decapitating Jason, but Paramount was like, yeah, maybe hold that thought, and requested an ending that was less definitive. The first ending they filmed, and the ending in the movie's novelization, featured Jason decapitating Chris in a dream. But the filmmakers didn't like the way Jason's face looked in it, since it used an old head mold made by Stan Winston. They decided to film a third ending, the one we've all seen, which uses the very creepy Jason face made by Doug White, the same one seen when Jason got himself out of the news. This face was made of 11 different appliances that took 6 hours to apply to Richard Brooker's head. Worth it for how unsettling it is to see Jason haul an ass towards the lake like this. Though I'm not a big fan of the ultimate ending they settled on, after Chris realizes she was just having a hallucination. What follows is a direct ripoff of the ending from Part 1. Only with a swampy Mrs. Voorhees instead of little boy Jason. Mrs. Voorhees here was played by the film's second AD, Marilyn Poucher, who had to endure the man-made lake Stillwater full of mosquito larvae and tadpoles.
Ew.
Glad she got to keep the mask as a piece of film history, but to me, this recycled chair jumper just cements this installment's unoriginality. Once again, the imaginary scare is capped off with a scene of authority figures saying it wasn't real. A very unstable-seeming sole survivor Chris Higgins is taken away in the back of a police car. The movie ends showing us the big man downed in the barn, the axe still in his head, and life still in the series. How many bodies jumped out of the screen and onto the kill count? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Whoa, it's a yo-yo. Whoa, let's go, Chelsea. Whoa, yeah.
Chelsea. Oh,
Whoa,
here I
look at that. 12 people died in Friday the 13th Part 3, 1 kill short of the magic number. The victims included 5 women and 7 men, with 5 or 6 of them having some kind of 3D element involved. With a runtime of 95 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 7.92 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Andy. Not only is it good and gory, the way it's shot from beneath is awesome. His corpse dripping down blood is a memorable sight too. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Shelley, because it doesn't make sense. How long was that motherfucker walking around with a slit-ass throat? And that's it. Friday the 13th Part 3 came out in 1982 and was the most successful Friday sequel until 2003's Freddy vs. Jason. In fact, Part 3 did so well, it made its money back opening day before West Coast screenings even started. Theaters literally ran out of 3D glasses by Sunday night opening weekend. Despite this, the franchise would half-heartedly try to end things in the next film, designating it the final chapter. But of course, we all know how that went. I'll look at that false ending next week, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Remember so I'm not gonna do this trailer because this trailer kill count because I already saw the kill count. It's pretty much to Fear Street 1978, but good recount from James A's Nace for Friday 13th. So yeah. So other than that, this was good. Good recount. So next week I will put up a new poll for a new kill count. Not me. So other than that, if I'm debating on we'll do another double one and pick between two or the single one. Well, other than that, because there's so many kill counts I want to do. So other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.